Hi, we're here at ISE with Nigel Miller from Cordless Consulting, and we're going to be discussing office design trends. So, Nigel, Gen Zs, they're coming to the workforce now, right? How exactly are workspaces changing now that the Gen Zs have entered the workforce?
Well, they're arriving with a vengeance. You quite rightly say, but it's not something that's been unprepared for. I think the pandemic, as we know, had a marked change on how we work, and most of those Gen Zs that are coming in haven't seen the traditional workplace that we used to have. So I guess the attraction to get people back to the workplace was already in process, and that is what a lot of Gen Zs have become. That's what they're expecting to see. So much more flexible working, collaborative working. A lot have only worked from home. So to get them back to the office and get them in and actually have the benefit of coming in, especially with having to make the journey, the commute, there have to be facilities that are there in the office to attract that. So those facilities could be a whole range of things, but so apart from having that selection of remote working and coming in, then integrated technology. So when they come in, the technology works and they can maybe control to some degree the workplace they're coming into, giving them information and the ability to book everything from food and beverage to spaces, etc., etc. I think also there's a much more focus on well-being, something that wasn't really there historically. It was with some companies, but there's been much more focus come in. And I think the Gen Zs, I nearly said Z, becoming American there, are much more conscious of that. So they like to see spaces that they can retire to, for example, quieter spaces. They're interested more than ever before on the quality of the air supply, fresh air, maybe biophilia, the general feel of the place. So I think all of those things are rolling into their requirements, along probably with sustainability, which is a big one as well. I don't think too many Gen Zs sort of come into the workplace and don't care about that. It's a big item. So companies that are paying attention to their sustainability responsibilities are, up there as the top hirers.
Yeah, and Gen Zs, we're all about authenticity, corporate social responsibility, stuff like that, right? So, what exactly are these Gen Zs like? A desk and a laptop doesn't cut it out anymore. So, what exactly are they demanding right now in the new workspace? What does the new modern office look like for Gen Z?
What does it look like? Yeah, I think it's becoming. We've seen a sweep, and we're at the pinnacle yet again. We saw a big move towards much more domestic feeling environments with a lot more choice of type of workplace. So if you're coming into the workplace, it's probably not for head down work. You would do that from home. So it's about collaboration, it's about generally meeting with others, it might be some social aspects to it. So they expect to see places that are able to deliver that. So that could be everything from workshop areas and round tables, but also to seating areas that are a little bit more relaxed, enable people to just get together in twos, and very bookable. In other words, you can get hold of that space very easily. Again, sustainability comes in there, and the look and feel of the space. But for head down work, maybe that space is compacting a little bit, but giving over to more collaborative areas, small meeting areas, and the technology that works seamlessly to back that. So a lot of Gen Zs are very familiar with apps and other software type technologies, and they expect that to work and work seamlessly when they come into the office. So those demands are all there. Having said that, I said we're at a juncture or a junction, and that is some companies are now demanding people back to the office. So it's no longer about attracting them, it's about giving them the right facilities and making them feel that demand to come back still offers them the opportunity to work at their best. So there's a slightly different take on that. They do need head down space as well, So it depends on the company and how they're responding to that change in our general work environment.
And my last question is, as much as the Gen Zs are entering the workforce, we still have all the other generations there, right? So how do you kind of balance this? Like, how do you strike a balance with all these different generations and their needs and preferences and skill sets? How do you balance that when you're designing one single space?
It's it's a question and something we have to deal with. So my company does the technology. The architects for interior space are having to give that a lot of thought. I think the first thing people actually need is technology that works and connectivity that works. I mean, in London, the mobile connectivity is not very good, and as soon as you go up in a building, so that's having to be regenerated in buildings so that there's always a great signal and people can use their mobile devices as well as the fixed devices to communicate, and especially with others that are outside. And that goes for all generations. You know, if that stuff doesn't work, then probably the older generations are even worse at dealing with it and is stomping off in a huff. So that's like the first layer. I think then to cover those age ranges, it needs to be a flexible space. So again, has to have a range of spaces. It has to have the ability to flex and maybe be changed. So modular design, so that things can be changed. And if one particular layout isn't working well, then maybe that can be changed and make it a much more appropriate and usable space without ripping the building apart. So yeah, I think modular and flexible are sort of two of the big words there. The ergonomics around it as well, you know, just having the right look and feel that would appeal to a wide range of people. And I think everyone likes a nice environment that feels comfortable. You know, none of us want to go back to the sterile, strip lighting, hard desk environment. So I think all ages will probably deal with that. I think the technology is becoming, and as we would see from the show here, it's becoming much more intuitive, AI driven to some extent. So it's starting to make judgments on what someone will want in an environment. And rather than having to be a genius at recoding and pressing buttons, the systems will respond. So I think that covers the sort of multi-generation as well. I think the designs have to be inclusive anyway, across the whole way. Obviously, we've got diversity laws, if you like, that mean that wheelchair access and other things are considered. But I think beyond that, neurodiversity is being considered as well, so that there maybe are areas where people go and rest, maybe technology-free zones, just to chill for a little while. And we're seeing increasingly now as well real-time reporting on buildings, so that a given floor plate or a multitude of floors will show where it's busy and vibrant, where it's quieter and a bit more relaxed, so that in real time someone coming in, whether they're older generation or whether they're, you know, neurodiverse, Gen X or Gen Z rather, they could choose a space that suits them at that time. And it gives them that real time. It's not sort of a fixed thing, but you can look on a screen and see the floor plate and actually see how the building is behaving. So I think that makes a great difference for that whole how people are brought into the environment. I think one important one on top of that as well is feedback mechanisms. In other words, the ability to report back and say, this space is really working for me, or this isn't, and just being able to collect that data, some of it automated, but also some of it input by the users of the building. So they can say, this is really working, and things can be, again, adapted and flexible and fixed. And technology, of course, is the thing sitting behind that. AV technology becoming much more adaptable and easy to use, but also a lot of the smart technologies and sensors that go with that, helping with that change to the environment in an automated way.
Yeah, at the end of the day, it seems it's all about flexibility, right? So, yeah, thank you so much, Nigel, for your insights. Thank you.
Glad I could help.